Bitcoin Advisors channel, bringing it to you here from Thousand Oaks, California for a little bit of a Saturday Bitcoin analysis because, well, everybody wants to know where is this price action going, and so let's jump right into it. And what happened here, we did have on the daily time frame, actually let's start off with the weekly time frame. Weekly time frame, Bitcoin did break our critical level here at, call it 41.8, but really this guy right here at $40,000. We officially have lower lows on the weekly time frame. So I'll get into that in just a minute and what that means. I do want to check in on a couple of the underlying market dynamics. One of them being the Fear and Greed Index, which is still at a 19. And I would say people are not fearful enough yet. We want that to get into, the single digits before a low is. And then we want to spend some time there, probably another 30, 60 days. Open interest currently at 10 billion, probably going to get a reset down around 8 billion. We've been talking about that for some time. So we still got quite a bit of open interest on the board, and we want to see a full reset. Funding rates are still positive, so people are still buying the hopium narrative, just hoping. They're buying the dip, and they're buying right into a downtrend, which can be painful at times, as you're seeing right now. Then you got liquidations. I took a look this morning. So what are liquidations? You've all heard about the leverage in the market and using leverage. Well, if you go 100x leverage or 5x or 10x, there's a certain point if the trade goes against you, you lose all your money. And so December 4th dump, which was, this guy right here, we had about 45 million people or $45 million just liquidated off the board in a single day. To give an idea, on today's time frame, this would be for, I believe, yesterday. Yesterday we only had 31 million liquidations. So very low liquidations. We still have a lot of leverage in the market. And compare that. So this is the December 4th wick down. Now let's go back to the summer and take a look at how many people got liquidated on this dump. From 59 down to 30,000, and there was $200 million that got liquidated during that dump. So we're nowhere near close to that, which does tell me that there's probably some further downside continuation. What else do we have here? Bitcoin on the monthly, and this was kind of a giveaway. Actually, the 3-month right here. And typically what happens is as soon as you get a tick below this last wick low, you're going to get a move down to the 9 exponential. Where's that coming in at? 32,500. And that's right in line kind of with the CME gap, which we can take a look at that really quick on the daily. What is a gap in price action? Well, CME futures only trade over the weekend, right? So what does that mean? That means that they're closed from Friday at, say, 4 p.m. to Sunday at 4 p.m. And so if the price moves up over the weekend, right, you're going to see a gap up. And what happens, gap theory says gaps like to get filled. Price action will come back down and fill the gap. And I can give you an example of a gap. Well, here's another gap down here between 23 and 25,000, and that's why a lot of people are saying, hey, Bitcoin could go down that low. But where's a gap to the upside that recently got filled? Recently. Do I see any gaps to the upside? Okay, here's a perfect example. This is a downside gap. So we gap down here, and then what happens? Price action comes and fills the gap and tests the price action. It's just price action is testing, was the move down correct or not, right? So this plays out in the stock market. It plays out in traditional markets. It plays out in the charts, in the futures charts. Oh, here's a gap that from the upside. So from right here to right here, and then what happened? Price came back down, filled that gap on the other side. So why don't I do this? I'm going to go ahead and put a little line in there, and I'm going to put another one right here, and I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to take my little blue box. Blue boxes of death and despair or peace and prosperity, right? And so any kind of a break below this guy, you know, on a daily, especially on a weekly, probably going to get a move down into that $26,000 to $23,000 region, which, do I think that's happening today or tomorrow? No. But I do want to note it and say, hey, we put it on the board, something to keep an eye out for. What else did I want to talk about today? Leverage ratio is still way high, way too high. It hasn't reset yet, so we got to get that wash out. So basically, now on the weekly, even on the daily time frame, and this is CME, so I'll just pull up the spot because we're looking at spot price action here. Bitcoin getting a little bounce off that $34,000 region here. Just had a tick down to 34,000, getting a little bounce up here. But this is the daily downtrend, right? So until Bitcoin gets back above 44,000, we are going to be in a downtrend. And all bounces are to be considered lower highs with more continuation to the downside. So that gives it has just been historically very, very bad to trade against the trend on the daily time frame, especially on the weekly time frame. But what you can see here is if Bitcoin does make a first higher high, then we want to see a higher low, and then that would be your identification kind of a daily reversal in trend. We also got the daily death cross playing out here, and it's kind of far away from price action, but typically the best death crosses, you want to see prices come right up here and then reverse, and that's typically the best signals there. What else did I want to talk about here? Yeah, the CME. And here's another nice thing about CMEs: the futures close. So the weekly close, we clearly just closed on new lows. We took out these guys right there at 40,000 bucks, and we're getting our first test down. We closed on a little bounce up at 38,000. So hypothetically, what could happen if Sunday Bitcoin comes down to 32,000, right? We'd have a big gap in price action, and I would suspect we get a little bounce up to fill that gap, and that'll be coming in, probably Monday or Tuesday this week. They call it turnaround Tuesdays, and here's how we're playing the market now. It's a weekly and daily downtrend, so all bounces are to be considered lower highs. And where would we know? Probably the next, lower high on the weekly would come, because I know, people got a lot of fear and they want to sell right now, but typically you want to wait for a big bounce. You don't want to try and catch a falling knife. You want to wait for the trend reversal. But what happens? Use your Fibonacci retracement tool on a bullish retracement, and I'm just going to drag it down here because that's ultimately, I think, where prices are probably going to tag, if not over the next week, Monday. But if Bitcoin does get the bounce and gets stopped out between the 0.5 and the 618, that is your bull trap area right there. Okay, and that's where I'll be looking somewhere between, if we do it on a wick basis, which could we do this? Could we on Monday, open up, get a big wick down and close back up, maybe on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, the FOMC meeting is coming up. Mr. Fed Chairman Powell is going to be getting on the TV, and what do you think he's going to do when the market is dumping like this? This is just like the Fed taper tantrum we saw way back. I forgot when it was, but as soon as he started talking about tapering, the market crashed. And then he comes back and he says, oh, well, I guess we're not going to taper as much as we said we were. And maybe instead of 4 interest rate hikes this year, we're only going to do 2. I imagine Powell's going to do whatever he can to rally these markets, because guess what? He knows that if people are losing a ton of money, and even Joe Biden knows, if people are losing a ton of money right now, midterm elections for the Democrats ain't going to go well at all. So I don't think they're going to go well at all, period. Even if the market does bounce back, people are so pissed off about how the inflation, the country, everything. Big problems for Powell and Biden, if you ask me. So, to get out my points here on Bitcoin on the daily, again, back on the spot price. What do we have here? We've got trend, momentum, and volatility, right? That's how we identify our trends. And what do we have? This is the BBBWP, which measures the width of the Bollinger Bands. And essentially, as volatility is expanding, price is going to go in the direction of the trend. And where does volatility max out? In the 90% region. We can get up to 100%. But that's when you can see this, the last move ended here. That's 92%. This is at 90%, or sorry, 85. We're only at 70% on the daily time frame. So we got momentum going down, right? And those are our stochastics. And then we got the trend. Lower highs and lower lows all the way through on the daily time frame. And that'll be that. And so there are no talks of a reversal until Bitcoin can get itself back above 44,170. Call it 44,000, right? So that means all bounces will just be lower highs and continuation to the downside from there. And what else do we want to look at? What else? I'm just going to bring one up that is going for the full retrace, and that was Gala Games. And I actually had a 10x off of this guy, and thank God I pulled the trigger and got out, right? But full retrace, I mean, coming all the way back down to doggy town at 9 cents. I think I bought it at 14 cents or something like that. No, I think I actually got it at about 8 cents. Yeah, I got it in here, right in there, right before the big move. And hey, it was not some kind of a genius idea. Why did I buy Gala Games? Because you had Mana go to the moon. You had Sand go to the moon, right? Sand is almost going for the full retrace. If this support level fails right here, which I do suspect, I mean, these are the riskiest assets out there. They did 1000x gains. I wouldn't be surprised we get the full retrace. So my point is Mana and Sand did this. That their rally started in October. Gala was the other metaverse gaming project that everybody was really interested in, and it was just hanging down here. So Mana and Sand, or I think Mana took off before Sand, then Sand, and then Gala was just sitting around here. And I thought, you know what? Why not put a little risk on? Gaming is hot. Metaverse is hot. Everybody's going to get into this. And I do imagine this sector will be very hot. And so, the good projects that survive are going to come back with a vengeance. And that's why you always want to have some dry gunpowder on the side so that, hey, in the depths of the bear market, you can pull the trigger, pick up a little bit more on your stack. And you're going to have to forgive the camera today, guys. This is not my traditional setup. I really don't even like doing YouTubes from my house, but I thought today was relatively important. What else? Let's take a look at Matic. Matic looks like it is really getting slapped pretty hard too. Let's see. Matic, yeah, hitting our 160 target, and with a break below this guy right here, yeah, I'm expecting 130 to get hit. We're almost there. If if that level gets violated, yeah, the next stop down is much, much further down. So, you know, one of the strong, just taking it on the chin, like a lot of them, even the strongest. Luna getting a little bounce back up here off the blue box, peace and prosperity, right? That would have been a nice bounce play. And let's check it out on a 4 hour if we got any divergences going on. And so trend, momentum, and volatility, right? So we are in a 4 hour downtrend, right? We got our lower lows, right? I mean, we took this low out here. That was your last lower low. Okay, lower low. And now we're looking for a lower high. Probably comes in somewhere around 69, even here. That would probably, you know, be a nice short position. But I don't even think it gets back up there. Maybe, I don't know. Stokes are crossing back up from a very, very low region, but we still are within the bearish control zone. And this can flip back around. I mean, you're really not going to get bullish until these Stokes get back up, you know, above here. Typically, maybe above the 36 or really the 50% read. Then you know, hey, trend. And then what else do we have? So volatility is maxed out, telling us that the move to the downside is likely to cool off, right? And start a little bit of a consolidation. And what you want to see is this come back down, and then you know, okay, volatility is going to come, and volatility is going to go in the direction of the trend. So yeah, we get a small bounce consolidation here, very, very likely on Mr. Matic. What is another one that we've been talking about lately? Matic. Atom giving the full breakdown here. So let's take a look at how would we, you know, identify some targets. So this is the range, right? You got, if you do it on a closing basis, right, the range would be something like this, right? So three points on a trend line is, or three touches on a trend line is a trend. So we had this macro consolidation at the top here, and we just broke the last support, and you can almost measure this to the T like this. Boom, from here. Oh my gosh, this thing can come down quite a bit. Yep, almost exactly level by level, level by level. That's why support and resistance are so important to identify these liquidity zones, and we are going to put out a video on how to identify these zones very soon. But again, just want to, you know, wrap up my thoughts on Bitcoin. We're sitting here at 34,000. I wouldn't be surprised for us to open back up around where CME closed on Friday, about 38,000. Play out a little bounce over the weekend, or I mean, really, so again, volatility is maxed out, telling us a consolidation is coming. We want to see a reset on volatility. We still got Stokes way, way down, right? So these, I mean, that's way, way down there. So 4 hours are still trending hard to the downside. What about an hourly? Are we getting a little... We can barely cross up on the hourly, and we can't even get above the yellow 21. So on the hourly, we get a hourly closure back above 35,800. I am going to look for this area to get filled out somewhere between 36 and 37.5. Okay, if that level breaks, then with the next level, 39.5. On the hourly time frame, above 39.5, and yes, I would say we're going to get a move back up to around 44,000, and that is our daily breakdown area. You can see volatility had a little reset, right? And then as it expanded again, what happened? Followed the trend to the downside, right? Volatility expansion, maxes out, cools off, and I mean, we just spilt back over. It was pretty brutal. Oh yeah, what do we want to talk about? The stock market. NASDAQ, S&P, right? Because they kind of led this downward destruction on Bitcoin. You know, they're highly correlated assets. NASDAQ and S&P are going down. Well, Bitcoin is probably going to come with it, historically speaking. And so what was I looking at? The NASDAQ here. So this is the measure move on this rising channel, which is breaking to the downside. Your last chance for love right here. There's a little support level, but if you ask me, I don't know, let's take a look at trend momentum and volatility. So volatility is at a high right now, and could we get, you know, pinned here on the daily for another day or two? Yeah, another day and get another swipe down. I do think that's so. We're not picking up any bullish divergences. Yeah, we are. We are. And so what's bullish divergence? RSI is making lower lows, right? Is that a lower low right there? That's a higher low. Okay. So we got 3 drives right there, or that's 2 drives. Could we throw in another one right there and say that that is a, nope, nope. All right, let's take a look at that. So we have that trend line drawn in here, right? So RSI is making lower lows, so this is hidden bullish divergence. Forgive me, there's standard standard bullish divergence, and then there's hidden bullish divergence. So we got 1, 2, 2, 3. That's almost 2 touches right there. So 1, 2, and well, we haven't even confirmed a low yet. So yeah, that's the whole idea, is if you don't begin to see these divergences, that tells you, okay, well, we're probably going to get. So bottom line is hidden bullish divergence, RSI is making lower lows and price is making higher lows, right? So the strength of the downside move is waning, right? The relative strength index is going down, but the price is still making higher lows. Now, something important to identify here is if price is making lower lows, and this is not a higher low, so I would take that out of the cards. No bounce on Monday, down to doggy town, 13,000 on the S&P, and I mean traditionally, sorry, that was the NASDAQ. S&P 500, right, coming in here, and this is kind of a support area, but the measure move on this falling channel, which NASDAQ has been the general on the way to the upside, right? So S&P and Dow, they're going to follow the general, right? NASDAQ starts to pour off. S&P and Dow are still showing relative strength, and how big is this correction so far? 8%, that's not even a correction, right? That'd be at 12% on that measure move. And 16, 20%, 20% correction, I think that's in the cards for this year. Yeah, there's going to be bounces along the way, but definitely in the cards this year. And if you just compare the last couple of corrections, right? How big was this correction? That was 5%. This one, 4%. This one, 5%. This one, 10%. So all these corrections between 5 and 10%, right? Where's this one at right now? We're at 12%. So a stronger move is in play right now, and a break of a major formation, and this is what you call a top. So you see how these trend lines, right? You're getting, you know, more touches on the upside than you are on the downside, right? And then what happens? All of a sudden, this flattens out here, right? And then you've got more touches to the downside, the trend line breaks, and then boom, you are seeing what you saw on Friday, right? So And lastly, we're following up on Dow Jones. Dow Jones still holding some strong levels, which means, hey, we probably got some more downside to go unless it wants to pick up itself. And Mr. Powell wants to come out and say, hey, we are going to mint more money. We're going to lower rates. We're going to keep rates low. But I don't know if he's in a position to do that at this point. So it'll be really interesting to watch Bitcoin's price action this week. It'll be really interesting to hear what Fed says on Wednesday. If you enjoyed the content and this is helpful for you, please do throw us a like and a subscribe. If you're interested in perhaps diversifying with Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in your retirement account, we can show you how to do that. There is a link in the description below. I hope you guys have a wonderful, blessed weekend. Take care, and I will be signing out. If I can... No. Where's the stop button? Control 5?